What country has the shortest coastline? The third country with the shortest coastline is Tuvalu. Their coastline is 15 miles long. The second is Bosnia and Herzegovina. Their coastline is only 12.4 miles long. Finally, the country with the shortest coastline is Monaco. Their coastline is only 2.5 miles long. What's the coldest country in the world? The third coldest country in the world is Iceland with an average yearly temperature of -0.70 degrees. The second coldest country is Canada with an average temperature of -5.10 degrees. Finally, the coldest country in the world is Russia with an average yearly temperature of -5.35 degrees. What country has the most goats? The third country with the most goats is Pakistan with 60 million goats. The second is India with 125.7 million goats. Finally, the country with the most goats is China with 149.37 million goats. What's the freest country in the world? The third freest country in the world is Denmark. Their Human Freedom Index is 8.98. The second freest country is New Zealand. Their HFI is 9.01. Finally, the freest country in the world is Switzerland with a HFI of 9.11. What's the rainiest country in the world? The third rainiest country in the world is Malaysia. Their National Rainfall Index or NRI is 3,194 millimeters. The second rainiest is Papua New Guinea. Their NRI is 3,250 millimeters. Finally, the rainiest country in the world is Brunei with an NRI of 3,564 millimeters. What's the most biodiverse country in the world? The third most biodiverse country is Colombia. Their Global Biodiversity Index is 369.76. The second most biodiverse is Indonesia. Their Global Biodiversity Index is 418.78. Finally, the most biodiverse country in the world is Brazil with a Global Biodiversity Index of 512.34. What's the most deforested country in the world? The third most deforested country in the world is Russia. Their average annual deforestation area is 532,200 hectares. The second is Indonesia with an average annual deforestation area of 1,447,800 hectares. Finally, the most deforested country in the world is Brazil with an average annual deforestation area of 3,466,000. What's the most peaceful country in the world? The third most peaceful country is Ireland with a Global Peace Index of 1.288. The second most peaceful is New Zealand with a Global Peace Index of 1.269. Finally, the most peaceful country in the world is Iceland with a Global Peace Index of 1.107. What's the least peaceful country in the world? The third least peaceful country is Syria with a Global Peace Index of 3.356. The second is Yemen with a Global Peace Index of 3.394. Finally, the least peaceful country is Afghanistan with a Global Peace Index of 3.554. What's the least round country in the world? The third least round country is Malaysia with a score of 0.392. The second least round is the Gambia with a score of 0.375. Finally, the least round country in the world is Chile with a score of 0.297. What's the most rectangular country in the world? The third most rectangular country is Lesotho with a score of 0.936. The second is Vatican City with a score of 0.948. Finally, the most rectangular country in the world is Egypt with a score of 0.955.